All right, I see the broadcast is live, so welcome back. Again, my name is Louis Shanafelt, and joined back with me after a little hiatus is Ryan Graham. And
Hi, everyone.
Ryan was able to watch the episode from last week and was very impressed. I'm going to throw this to Ryan here real quick because we want to address a EquatIO issue that we've had over the last couple days. But Ryan was saying how much he enjoyed hearing from Dan and Mary Lou about their experiences in remote learning. And, on behalf of Ryan and myself, I want to thank them again for last week's episode and joining in to fill in for Ryan's holiday. So that was really good stuff. And Ryan, can you address the recent issue with EquatIO real quick for everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. So if everybody's not aware, we had a bit of an issue with EquatIO last week in inserting equations into Google Docs. This was caused by an update that Google made to their Google Docs application, and we had the issue fixed fairly quickly.
Yeah.
The problem is getting the update out to the Chrome Web Store. It has to go through a whole review process. They need to check it, make sure it works properly. And really, we're just at the hands of Google pushing that update out to our customers. So obviously, we apologize for that. If it makes you feel any better, my hair has grown like twice as long from that scenario. I haven't slept in like 6 days.
Yeah.
So it definitely takes its toll on me whenever things like that happen as well. But the main thing is the fix is out there now. It's in the Chrome Web Store. Everybody should already have the latest update, and inserting math should work in Google Docs again.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for talking about that. I mean, we're as frustrated by that as you are. We realize how important that is, especially in this time and age. Everyone's working from home, and believe me, our development meetings that we have are, much filled with angst, much like teachers that were trying to create math at home, and we were trying to provide workarounds. But to speak to Ryan's point real quick, I mean, not only did our development team have a fix in literally within like 12 hours, like they were on it first thing that next morning. We pushed it live to the Google Store. But as Ryan said, just so you guys are aware, like we're kind of at Google's mercy, and they get lots of apps submitted at different times, and we just kind of have to wait for that review process. So, but we're live, we're back online with Google Docs, and we appreciate everyone's patience during that. So much apologies on behalf of our team for that happening. So we're going to jump into, so we got some great questions this week submitted, and I never give this person credit, and I should, Ryan. So real quick, Ryan and myself, we couldn't make this happen without Dina. So I want to thank Dina for her participation on this on the back end here. She's not really on camera with us, but she kind of collaborates and works with us to develop these questions. So we couldn't do this.
She's the producer of the show.
That's right.
She tells us what to do. She instructs us to set the whole thing up.
That's right. She's the executive producer, I think. So we appreciate Dina's help, and she's got some great questions that she's helped, kind of collaborate with some Twitter feedback that we've got. Let's go to the first question here. So what are some ways that teachers can collaborate with one another to share ideas, activities, etc.? So I am going to go ahead and share my screen. So we are going to go and we're going to take a look at a Mathspace. So when I think of collaboration within Mathspace, hang on one second. Let me pull my screen over here. Ryan, are you able to see that Google screen?
Sure, yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to go into, you can see my Mathspace, right?
Yep.
Perfect. All right. So I'm going to go into Mathspace and think about ways that collaboration can happen. And we've kind of addressed this on previous episodes, but not everyone's kind of jumped in since episode 1. So I want to go back over something that's really, really important for teachers to be aware of, and that is the ability to access Mathspace. And when I point out here at the top of my Chrome Omnibox, users of EquatIO can actually just type in equatio.texthelp.com. You will receive an authentication window in which you can log in using your Texthelp credentials, your Free for Teacher credentials. Students that have access to EquatIO can also type this in and access their dashboard as well. So, we've had some great feedback and people that have replied and said, hey, Louis, can you share some of these Mathspaces with us to kind of get our juices flowing? So what I'm going to do this week is try and, create some sort of templates and some things that we can kind of point folks to and be able to share some of these with you. I have no problem sharing these with you. So I'm just going to jump into a Mathspace here with you and kind of show how teachers can collaborate, because as the question states, collaboration is more important than ever right now. So notice that I've spent some time, I created and I inserted these coordinate planes by going here, drawing my coordinate plane, putting the coordinate plane here next to it, or the coordinate pair, excuse me. And then obviously the next step here is, how do I then share this with teachers? So we're looking for collaboration with teachers. So in particular with this question, you can click on this share button here, and I'm going to go and leave this alone. So the default is to leave this in the box here, the first choice, make a copy for every person. So leave that alone and select continue. This is going to generate that unique URL that we've talked about on previous episodes. And this one in particular is going to be shared with a teacher. So I am going to copy this. I'm then going to open an entire other page here. So I'm actually going to log into a different Chrome profile. And when I go and type in this here, I'm gonna see this dialog box pop up, which is really fantastic because this is something new that we've really recently pushed out within the last couple of weeks. So this is a Mathspace that has been shared, and it's basically asking me as a second teacher. Remember, I've shared this with another teacher, a teacher down the hallway, and I can easily just click Save Now and put this in my EquatIO dashboard. So this then becomes my own personal copy. And if I wanted to, I could go in here and actually open this and start making alterations to this specific Mathspace. I can go in here and I can click Edit Math, and I can bring that coordinate in, and I can change these if I want to. I also can go up here and I can rename this like my own copy. I can get rid of copy, hyphen, and rename this to make it my own so students don't see that it was a copy. So this is just one way that, teachers can collaborate and share those Mathspace assignments that teachers have created. And then, of course, when we think about just in general, the idea that we can collaborate within the G Suite alone is really, really important. So that's just one way that we can collaborate as teachers. Ryan, can you think of any other way other than obviously the most immediate answer is obviously we think of collaboration, we think of the G Suite. But is there anything that comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I mean, sharing Mathspace is a great way to do it. Yeah, even just sharing a Google Doc with the math already in it, or a Google slide, or something along those lines as well. You would probably still go through the same workflow and create a template Google document, create a copy of it and add it to your Google Drive, and then share it out amongst other teachers as well.
Yeah,
but it'll be essentially the same things what you've done there in your Mathspace, and I think that's a good idea. It should be noted as well that you can share those Mathspaces through Google Classroom.
Right.
It doesn't just have to be a link, that you can pass it out. You can also give it to another teacher in their classroom, get them to hand it through there, make a copy, and so on.
Right. Or your LMSs that we've recently partnered with.
So
however you want to share those. Literally, I had a customer that shared a Mathspace online yesterday on Twitter, and I, privately DM'd her and I said, hey, is there a way that you could share that with me? I mean, I thought it was an awesome Mathspace.
Was it the pizza Mathspace by any chance?
Yeah.
The pizza one just speaks to me. Pizza and EquatIO.
That's right. You like that one, right?
Absolutely.
So she was able to share that with me, and then I was able to kind of give her a little credit. And that way, when we do share it with others, if people are interested, we know where we got that from and can kind of give that person a credit. So let's go to the next question. So there it is up on the screen, accessibility features of the product. So Ryan, can you speak to the accessibility features for everybody?
Oh, I certainly can. So first of all, accessibility features are just built into everything that we do in EquatIO. There's nothing that we do as developers, our entire team. The first step in every process of every new feature is how do we make this accessible? And accessibility really is quite a broad term.
Right.
A lot of people, tend to think accessibility in terms of keyboard accessibility, accessible features for visually impaired students. But accessibility really just means that every student, regardless of how they learn or their abilities in terms of math, they should be able to use the same features as everybody else, or they should be given the tools to be able to create math just the same as the next person.
Right.
So I think in terms of that, one of the really good features we have in EquatIO for accessibility is the speech to math function. So we've got a little speech input icon in our toolbar here, which you can use in EquatIO anywhere, whether it's Google Docs, Google Forms, in Mathspace, or even in our LMSs, as you talked about earlier on there as well.
Right.
And the speech to math is a really good way for students who have issues maybe with using keyboards, issues maybe with using the mouse, or they find it difficult maybe to type out words or type out mathematical expressions, because it can be difficult to try and type out mathematical expressions and also think about the expression that you're trying to create at the same time.
Right.
So the speech input really just works with your microphone on your PC or on your tablet or on your phone, and you can click Start Speech Input and say things like, x squared plus 3x minus c equals 2c. And that automatically takes that spoken text and creates a mathematical expression from it. Now, mathematical expression is nonsense, because as I've said before in this show, I am not a mathematician.
Right.
I can make the features happen, but that's where my math.
The extent of it, yeah.
Exactly. So once we have that math, then we can actually go on to the right-hand side. If there was any issues in the way that the text was detected from the microphone, we can change that. And remove that variable in there. We can modify that and click on Insert Math, and that will put it straight into the document. I must have clicked on that button. So that's one of our primary accessibility features in EquatIO. I really like the speech input one, because it's a really good leveler. Everybody can speak math, but it's very hard to type it then using the tools that you're generally given on a computer.
Right.
Along similar lines as well then is our handwriting recognition, which works very similarly as well. On the flip side of that, you can actually use your mouse or on your tablet, your finger, just to draw math as you traditionally would on paper. So you can do 3x squared equals 15. And then in the same way on the right-hand side, that it takes that very badly written mathematical expression and turns it into a nice, neat typeset expression on the right-hand side as well. I
cannot believe it actually read that X there, Ryan. I thought for sure, but look how great. I mean, the product is that it can read. Even you jokingly say messy handwriting, but kids are going to struggle with their handwriting, as you all know.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was just me using my mouse as well on
right.
the desktop PC. So that's another feature we have built dedicated for those students who prefer handwriting or prefer speaking math out loud than using the keyboard. Another thing I'm going to show as well is our screenshot reader. So another part of the question really was, how that's all one good for creating math, but what about math that's already on a web page? A lot of students have issues, reading mathematical equations. I've mentioned this before. Sometimes they can be too small. Sometimes they can be, maybe badly drawn, like my handwriting example there as well. So in EquatIO, we have our screenshot reader, which is a very, very cool tool. Very simple to use. Click on the screenshot reader button, and you can draw a rectangle around a piece of math that you maybe don't understand, or you couldn't see it properly.
Right.
And what that'll do is capture that math and transform it back into a mathematical equation, and then it will actually play it out loud in your speakers. So it would actually read out the equation x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 40c over 2a, right into your audio. So, you don't actually have to use your, visually see what that equation is. You can actually hear it.
Right.
As well, an awful lot of people actually prefer hearing things out loud, that it sticks in their memory better,
right,
rather than just seeing it as well. And the other cool thing about that is if you find a math equation and it's an image, you can actually use these 3 dots, more options, and click on Copy LaTeX. And what you can do is you can take that LaTeX and paste it right back into EquatIO. Let's type that math, and then you can go and change that math and put it back into your Google Doc. So that's just a handful of features, and like I said, there are many more accessibility features in EquatIO, and that's just some of the most important ones, I think.
Right. Yeah. So Ryan, Ryan, are you able to insert that into the doc, or is it hung up on your end?
I think it might be hung up my end.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just go without the internet connection here.
Yeah, no problem. So, I was going to have, and when we throw this to question 3, I was going to have Ryan show like the alt text behind it too, to show that, accessibility pieces. The other thing I can think about from an accessibility standpoint, and Ryan was trying to cover as much, it's a very loaded question and it has lots of answers. So the other thing that, Ryan could have mentioned here was like the labeling that we have. When you hover over an icon, it'll read out, whether it's an equation editor. So there's a lot of things in here in terms of accessibility and the ability. And like Ryan mentioned, there's lots of different types of learners out there. So when he mentioned, some people can learn by hearing it, some people learn by seeing it. So, and that's kind of the foundations for how EquatIO was built, is providing those multiple means for students to be able to hear and have that math play back. So that's all really good stuff there. So question 3 actually takes us into, and I know, Ryan, you put this on me here. I'm going to try and play some audio back to you and have it not come through my headset. So it talks about, can you provide more information on Mathspace? Ooh, I think we skipped a question. I thought we were doing a PDF here. There it is. Would you be able to have a PDF read to you through EquatIO? So perfect. So I appreciate coming back to that question there. So what I decided to do on my screen here is to show a PDF. Now this PDF is loaded into Chrome. So I'm not actually opening a physical PDF on my device. I'm actually viewing it through the Chrome browser. I always like to point out that you can open this within the Texthelp PDF Reader. I forget which episode. We're becoming such veterans here, Ryan. I know that Ryan showed how to annotate on a PDF at one point. I just forget which episode that was on. It might have been 2 that we showed how to annotate on a PDF. And I think Ryan actually went in and clicked on a PDF and showed how to make annotations on a PDF so students could submit. But this one actually in particular, see if they can get this to load pretty quick here. Well, actually, I could still show it this way if we can get it to load. It looks like mine's hung up now on my internet. So I'm going to try and just go, oh, there we go. So I'm going to go back then, and I'm just going to show you real quick here then on this PDF how we can read math aloud. So the question talks about, can we have this read aloud? And Ryan just showed that screenshot reader. And one of the great things about our screenshot reader is to be able to hear this math read aloud. So for example, if students are just learning the normal infinity symbols and some of the higher ed type educational problems that they're going to get as they, proceed up through college and beyond high school, so to speak. Ryan showed how we can pull up this screenshot reader. So notice that since I'm in Chrome and I'm technically outside of the G Suite in terms of their core applications, that you have a limited EquatIO toolbar at the very top. But you know what? That limited toolbar is really all I need in terms of reading this math aloud. So as Ryan showed how you can pull a box around math, I can access this PDF, pull a box around this. And before I do this, I need to, in order to pull this off, Ryan, I'm actually going to try and change the audio so you guys can actually hear this. We'll see if it works. So let's do this, pull a box around this math and see if you guys can't hear this.
Limit over x right arrow negative normal infinity of open paren 2 plus the fraction with the numerator 10 and denominator.
Could you hear that okay, Ryan, or no?
Yeah, we can hear it.
Okay, so a little bit, you're able to hear that. I'm going to change my audio back. So that's basically how you're able to have math played aloud. So while Ryan was showing that on the last question, when we think about being able to play math aloud, you think about those students who might need something repeated to them. So I can just hit this play button and go right back into, playing this audibly if I want to inside my headset. The other things I can do here is I can obviously move this math from the PDF and bring it into a Google Doc if I'd like. So there's lots of things we can do inside of a PDF. So that's pretty much it. Can we use PDFs to read through EquatIO? And the answer is yes. You can do that. Also, let's see if we can get this to load. Just a little.
I was going to say I'm a big fan of our PDF reader as well because of the extra tools and things you get with it. And it's also very cool to have the full EquatIO experience inside a PDF too.
Right. So I'm not sure why this one doesn't really want to load, but I'll see if I can't pull that up in a little bit. But so in essence, what I wanted to show was it can read out math on a PDF. And again, you can always go back to that episode too. I'm not really sure why this one won't load in the Texthelp PDF reader. So let's jump to question 4. Ryan's going to talk about probably our newest release, which is the EquatIO for Mathspace on iPad. I've had lots and lots of interest on this. So I'm really excited to tell you all that it is available on the iPad. Ryan, just so you're aware, I'm not sure you've seen some of the Twitter stuff that I've put out there, but lots of folks are kind of confused. Like, is there an app that they need to download? You know, what do they need to do? Can you speak to how users can get to Mathspace on an iPad?
Yep, absolutely. And so I should start off by saying, actually, my wife is an elementary school teacher, and they've got iPads through their elementary school. But you know, one of her real big frustrations is she finds like an app that she really likes and she can't get it.
Right.
She's got to you know, either go to the principal and ask, you know, can we get this app?
Right.
And they have to go and, you know, purchase orders, and it's a whole thing. You have to go through the Apple Web Store and things like that there. So we decided to skip all that for EquatIO. You know, these times are you're not going to have the everybody in the same school building to be able to communicate the way you used to. So you're not going to be able to go to your principal straight away and ask for this app.
Right.
So what we've done is EquatIO for iPad from Mathspace is just a website. Same as any other website. You can just go to EquatIO. See if I can get this on my screen.
It's a little hard for us to like plug in an actual iPad and kind of demo this for you guys. But you know what a great thing too, Ryan, is it'd be hard to kind of even demo this, but like there's a shortcut on the iPad in Safari that would allow you to bookmark the actual website on the home screen for students. You
Exactly.
know what
I think it's possibly the same on the browser. Yeah, so create shortcut, and you can click on create shortcut, and I think it's add home screen or something like that there on the iPad. You're right. And that'll just create a little shortcut on your home screen, and you can just tap on EquatIO Mathspace, and it will then open up in Safari on your iPad. So there's no installs, no app really as such. Right. And you can just open up Safari, and then you'll have all your Mathspaces there, the same as you would if you're on your desktop PC. Currently, it works on iOS 13 and up. And that's just so that, you know, an awful lot of our tools really require a lot of modern technologies. We need microphones, and
right.
You know, we got Desmos in there, and the handwriting stuff, and there's an awful lot of complicated things in there that we need to add to the latest version of iOS for as well. But the good thing as well about this is that it's not like one of those apps where you get like a little cut down experience. Like the reason I'm showing you Mathspace on my desktop here is that it's the same experience on desktop as it is on iPad. So you get your spaces, and you get your assignments, submitted assignments. You can create a new space, and everything you see on my screen here now, all the tools, the toolbar and everything will be available on iPad. And with that, then all of our popular tools, Desmos, handwriting, speech input, all of those are available on the iPad as well. So it's the exact same experience on desktop as it is on iPad. And it's also, you know, encompasses all the features that you would normally use EquatIO Mobile for, but now you don't need those two devices talking to each other. You can just use the one device for the whole thing. And I think that's a very cool thing. You know, this has been really on our roadmap for a long time. It's very, very difficult to take something as complicated as Mathspace and squash it down to fit on a very small device. You know, so that's why it's taken us so long. But we really wanted to make sure that it was working on iPads now you know, in the current situation where kids and students are going to be at home, they're going to have iPads generally at home as well somewhere in the house, you know, either iPads or Android tablets or something like that. You know, and it's really important that they can continue to learn, continue to do all those other things with just the devices that they have.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not sure how much experience Ryan has in terms of pushing apps on an iPad from like a developer standpoint, but I know in the school district that I used to work in, and Ryan, you probably have heard of this as right as you are, but like there's a program called AirWatch. Have you heard of it? So AirWatch is what our IT people used to use to push applications to student devices. And it used to become extremely, extremely difficult to get apps pushed to devices and extremely time consuming. So it's another hurdle that we just didn't want to have to go through at Texthelp to be able to develop an app. Students are at home and AirWatch can't talk to those iPads. But it is a really, really unique app. It's just in these times, it would have been very difficult to be able to connect to all those iPads that students might be using at home. So again, a really, really important feature just to have students, and maybe I can't throw together a video to show how to bookmark something in Safari to be able to show and help users to be able to help those students at home who might want a quick hyperlink, if you will, on the iPad screen, since there is not an application for it. So the last question here we have is, how do you edit math that has been inserted into a document? It's funny, Ryan and I just got off a call a little while ago, and we were talking about how, editing math, we were just talking about that button in general and how a lot of users, I think, find different workarounds for the ability to edit math. So I'm going to take you into a Google Doc right now. And it is, I've already typed in a algebraic expression here, 12x squared minus 3x cubed plus 3y equals 8. And, we were kind of joking in our meeting and saying, I think users sometimes think that, oh, this is an image, the image can't be edited. And that's just kind of a misconception that's kind of out there. Like, how do I start over on this? And I think a lot of people just click on it and they hit the delete key on their keyboard, when the reality is they can save themselves a tremendous amount of time by clicking on it and clicking on the button that they're so used to using, which is the insert math button, except we have this edit math button where we can bring this algebraic expression back into the product. So notice how I can bring that back in. And if a student said, oh, I made a mistake here, I meant to do 3y squared, I can just type in SQ, add the squared. And what's really awesome here is I can just click on insert math, and notice how it'll just overlap that existing image and fix it. So going back to like that, let me close this. So going back to like even the accessibility type question here that we discussed earlier that Ryan addressed, now that I have math in a doc, when I right click on it, and when we think about accessibility, we have the math spelled out for students that need it. So just wanted to circle back to that since Ryan had a little hang up there on his end. So that just goes back to question 3 and how, we try to include accessibility in everything we do here at Texthelp. But the ability to edit math is really fantastic here. Another thing I can do when we think about editing math is, I don't want you to think, well, we can only edit math. Like we can actually go in here. I don't know what's happening there. We can actually go in here and do, just like something like slope intercept form, something I used to commonly teach to students like rise over run. And I go and insert this graph. And you might think, well, now that the graph's inserted, now I have to start all the way over. The student made a mistake. Well, actually, you can pull graphs back into EquatIO too. And obviously, this looks more like an image maybe than an algebraic expression. But I can click on the graph, hit edit math, and actually bring in that math back in. So
do you know what would be good at this point, Louis, too? Yeah. If this was a student doing this and you set this task to the student, they could use the edit math button, go to Desmos, start plotting points on that graph.
Right. Yeah. So they could do that. They can start editing. They can start plotting points. So you can add more lines here. But, for example, even if they just made a simple mistake, like it was supposed to be -2, I can go here. Oops, forgot to do my prediction here. So I messed that up again. 1/5 x minus 2. And notice how my graph has now changed. now when I insert this, watch how it's going to overwrite what was already existing there. So obviously just a totally different scenario, but the misconception is that it's because it's an image, the editing of that image is not possible, that we must delete that image and start completely over. And that's just not the fact. So do we have any, I know we're at the end here. Do we have any, we have some live comments here. I don't know if you were able to go in. I see some friends here. Question overlaps at the bottom of the screen. Let's see if there's anything else here in the chat that I can answer real quick. I don't see anything off the top of my head. So Ryan, let's go ahead and call it, I guess, for today. I know we'll collaborate here and circle back through any comments here that people want to access or to ask us for the next episode. We are thrilled that you joined us again today. So on behalf of Ryan and myself, thanks so much for joining us again. And we look forward to seeing you all next week. Please use the hashtag ExploreEquatIO for questions for the next week's episode. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.
Have a great day.